Hi, this is Cass from Aussie Cass Plays, and I am an idiot. So I managed to somehow record the whole first part of this episode. Like, I've managed to somehow record the game sound but no microphone sound, and I have no earthly idea how I've done it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and it just suddenly started working about a third of the way through my footage. The part that hasn't recorded properly is Andrea's wedding, like the actual wedding ceremony, which you can see that they got married in the same lot where Rose hosted the previous dinner party, like the previous weekend. And Rose, via her connections to the nobility, managed to secure, because this is like the kind of park that nobles use. It's not the kind of park that servants and peasants use. So Rose, via her connections, managed to secure the park for the family to take advantage of for the night. And it's mostly Rose's family. We've got, you know, all of Andrea's siblings minus Oliver, and her in-laws minus Jewel and her family, obviously because Jewel and Oliver and their little daughter Desiree are in a different kingdom. But we've even got Eddison here as part of the like extended family, because he's Alana's father, which is obviously David's wife. So here is the ceremony. It was beautiful. Andrea looked gorgeous. The birds were singing. The flower petals were falling. They exchanged vows. She looked stunning, and I managed not to record any of my dialogue for it because I am a boss. So basically, I figured I'll show you guys the ceremony, and then we're going to skip ahead to the point where the footage started working. One thing I can't remember if I talk about later in the video is whether or not, because I have Rose cater this event, if you guys think that's enough to count for her weekend hosting, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll have to have her do a catch-up catering, because we have not done one. So there you go. Beautiful little couple, married. Colton had no family here, which I think Andrea and probably the rest of her family actually would find a bit strange and a bit sad, because he was raised by his uncles and they didn't have any extended family. And when they both passed away, because they were quite a bit older when he came into their custody, they I don't know why I'm playing with that there. Oh, that's Eddison in his armor. I remember now. Eddison showed up in his winter wear because it was cold. Oh no, his formal wear, because it's a wedding, and his formal wear has a helmet. So he was incognito. But yes, Eddison is here, and, you know, that's all directly relevant. So I'm going to cut ahead. Everyone's looking beautiful and I love them, but I'm actually going to cut ahead to the point where I have in-game sound. Please don't judge me too harshly for being an idiot. I genuinely have no idea what went wrong. And I usually test record when I first start recording. Like, I usually actually do a little testing 1, 2, 3 thing just to make sure everything's working. Didn't this time. Anyway, I'm an idiot. Like I said. Thomas isn't feeling super thrilled that Eddison is here. He's actually quite annoyed about it. And he's asking these two, look, why did you invite him? And they're like, look, you know, he's the in-law, like he's Alana's dad. And also, you know, he's partly responsible for us having access to this. So he's come over here and is full on glaring at Eddison. He's behaving at the moment because I don't think he wants to cause a big family incident. But, you know, it's clearly he's not happy. Eddison has come up to Rose and sort of in full view of everyone in public, so it doesn't look sus, but also with enough space around that I can have a private conversation. Apparently he's having a moment. He actually is telling her that he's really, really sorry. He should have behaved better and he shouldn't have caused the awkwardness that he did. But he's like, look, there's something I have to tell you. It's actually really important and you can't spread this information around. And she's like, what is it? And he's like, it's about Colton. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, look, you need to keep him away from the royal family, because did you never think it was strange how he just sort of turned up with the Dunhams? Like when he was a toddler, he was just given to them. And she's like, well, I mean, yeah, but obviously he's a kid of extended family. And Eddison's like, no, it's because I knew the Coltons when I was younger and they owed me a debt. And I asked them if they could look after Colton. She's like, what are you saying? Is he your child? And Eddison's like, no, he's not mine, but he is the child of a knight. Do you remember Sir Leon? And she's like, no, I don't. It's like, well, ask your mother. She would remember him. He used to be a knight. He was a scoundrel, frankly, and he sired a child and it got him killed. And she's like, I heard about, he's the one that the king executed, isn't he? And Eddison's like, yes. It wasn't he executed because he didn't look after the queen properly and she got sick and died? And Eddison's like, I can't comment on that. So Rose isn't an idiot. She can read between the lines here. The queen was pregnant. The queen had a baby. The baby and the queen were reported to have died. And the knight who was deemed to be responsible for their death by not looking after them properly, perhaps introducing the disease into the castle, was executed by the king. That was what was known. Obviously, Eddison has just implied very heavily that Colton is the son of the former queen and of... Oh, look, she's over here playing her guitar, little queen. Yes, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, he's just implied very strongly that Colton is actually the half-brother of Queen Grace. The thing is, in terms of the line of succession, because the line of succession was via the king, which is Queen Grace's father, and because Colton, I mean, just look at the guy. He doesn't look anything like the former king. He looks an awful lot like Sir Leon. So he wouldn't have been the heir. He's like the bastard child of the queen. The queen was not, like, she was a lady before she married into the royal family. She's not the blood heir of the throne. So he's not actually the heir to the throne, but he is a major embarrassment to the crown. And if the marriage between Sir Leon, like if the relationship between Sir Leon and the queen had been on the up and up, he would be a lord. But instead, he is a gardener. So that Colton doesn't know that. Obviously, he doesn't remember any of that. He knows his, like he told Andrea, he knows there's a little bit of a kind of tragedy in the backstory there. Now, I actually just had her make a wedding cake. So can I add a wedding topper to that? Because poor Rose has done nothing. She was off getting some surprising news. So if I add a wedding topper to that, I know that the flowers are there, but that's fine. Can I then maybe... Oh, look, Rose did make a cake. Me of such little faith. So, yeah, that's the upshot, is Colton is the bastard child of the former queen, who died in mysterious circumstances at around the same time as Sir Leon. Now, Rose, obviously... Oh, look at these cuties. Getting very distracted. Rose is seriously shaken by this revelation, but she's like, what's the point in saying anything to these two, you know? She doesn't want to risk... Colton's a fiery kind of guy. She doesn't want to risk him being fired up to the point where he goes and does something stupid and gets himself executed. The reason Eddison told Rose is because Rose is kind of moving adjacent to those circles, and Colton is the kind of guy who would be likely... He's very physical. He's the kind of guy who would be likely to join the knighthood, and he absolutely cannot. And because Eddison doesn't want to tell Alana because he doesn't want to risk his daughter. But he's kind of, you know, he trusts Rose to be discreet because she has been. She's hosted a lot of dinner parties where people have gotten blackout drunk and, like, been jumping into pools and all kinds of stuff. Like, the kind of things she's witnessed and not, the word hasn't got out, so he knows he can trust Rose. And because she's adjacent to that circle, she can influence to try and protect Colton and Andrea. That is the reason he has told her. She's a little bit like, why me? Poor thing, she's cleaning up. Bless you, Rose, my darling. Poor thing's having to wash up in the toilet. Apparently there's no sink out here. I mean, that happens. Maybe I could have her call to meal, I guess. It's really, really late. It's actually 4 a.m. I don't know how it got to be that late. So I'm going to send all of these Sims home, I think. We've got a gold wedding. And I'm actually going to switch across to Rose's family. All right, before I switch back across, it's only right that I give these guys, you know, a little bit of romantic time. They've just gotten home. The sun is coming up, like they've caught the ferry back across. And Colton's telling Andrea how he's so thankful that she's been his best friend since he was a kid. And, you know, how she's the most breathtaking, fiery kind of, take a day off, dude. You know, fiery, like, beautiful woman that he has ever met in his life, and he's very thankful to have her as his wife. Now, this is their first woohoo as a married couple. Obviously, it's not their first woohoo, but I think they haven't done it that many times, like maybe a handful. The novelty certainly hasn't worn off. They're young and enthusiastic, is what I am telling you. Now, I did just tell them to woohoo, not try for baby. I do have a slight percent set of risky woohoo, but I think Andrea is not super interested in having babies immediately as much as I'm like, let's get that genetic code, you know, into the next generation, especially because, you know, redheaded babies. But, oh, dogs come in and been like, what are you doing? Jeez. Dogs, honestly, no sense of privacy. So we're going to leave this family here and switch across to Rose. So these guys have just gotten home. Rose is making a nice hearty eggs for breakfast, I think bacon and eggs. And Thomas has come in and is like, what did Eddison want? She's like, what do you mean? And she's getting a little bit defensive and cagey instantly because she's like, still hasn't processed what she's been told. And he's like, I saw him talking to you. What did he want? She's like, well, he apologized for all of the problems that he's caused and said, you know, he didn't want to behave that way, you know. So Thomas is like, okay, but was that everything? Now the toddlers have got plates of food. He's like, look, Rose, you know I trust you, but I don't trust him. And I'm wondering if I need to take it up with him. Like, I told him to stay away from you and he didn't. And she's walked off to go and wash her plate. And obviously needs to pee as well, so that's great. She's like, I'll be back in a sec and then we'll talk. She's thinking while she's in the bathroom, she doesn't want Thomas to be suspicious of her and to question Eddison's intentions on this. I mean, it's entirely possible, especially from Rose's perspective, that one of the reasons that he told her is actually to get on her good side. And maybe he hasn't given up on something there, but she made it pretty clear to him that wasn't a thing. So she's come out and she's like, look, I will tell you what he told me, but you can't tell anybody else. This is just between you and me. He actually wanted to talk to me about Colton because he knows something of Colton's family background that he wanted to impart. And Thomas is like, well, what is it? What do you mean? And she's like, look, you know how Colton was an orphan and he was raised by the Dunhams? And he's like, yeah. She said, well, do you remember Crown Prince Cole when he was born? And Thomas is like, oh. She's like, yeah. You mean the Crown Prince that died of a disease when the Queen did? She's like, yeah. And Thomas is like, oh, okay. She's like, look, you can't say anything to anybody, okay? You just can't. Because the Queen, she doesn't seem to be like her dad. Like, she doesn't have her dad's kind of off with their heads kind of ways, but she might feel threatened. If Cole had grown up to be an adult, there would have been dispute around whether or not he would inherit the crown, depending on whether people believed he was the king's son or not. And Thomas is like, are you saying he's not? And she's like, well, he doesn't look like it, does he? But no one ever saw the Crown Prince, you know. We don't know the Crown Prince was Colton, like that he was a redhead. And she's like, yeah, but if Colton were the Crown Prince, then he's clearly not the king's son. You just have to look at him to see that. Nobles can be really cutthroat and they can be really selfish. And if one of them saw gain in trying to push... Oh, she's charisma level 10. If one of them saw gain in trying to push Colton to be on the throne in place of Queen Grace, it could result in war. So Eddison wanted to tell me so that I could do my best to keep Colton away from the entire crown. They've had this conversation. Both of them have agreed they shouldn't tell anybody. And fortunately, all the kids are upstairs asleep. So none of them heard it. Or actually, Vivian just got out of bed. So that's nice. I'm going to get her to come down, get some leftovers, at which point these guys are going to start talking about other things. Like, you know, how Rose is going to do some washing, that kind of thing. So that's where that's at, you guys. I'd be interested to hear what you think of the whole situation. I've avoided opening it whenever I've had Andrea and Colton in the same house, which to be fair hasn't been often. I haven't opened his relationship panels at all because I didn't want to tip you guys off because he's got the Queen in there. He's got all these people who are his relatives. Yes, he is the Queen's son. Yes, she had an affair with Leon. Yes, the King had them both, all three. In fact, the King ordered all three of them executed, including the baby. But Eddison and Reginald basically were like, yeah, we totally killed him, and then shipped the toddler off because he would have been like 1. It was at the point where he got old enough that the hair came in and it all became a bit obvious whose kid he is, because if you look at Leon and you look at Colton, it's pretty much the same sim. So because my plan when I had them have the affair was if Cole, as he was then, if Cole had been born with his mum's looks, I actually was just going to let him grow up and be the king, and it would have been a whole thing. But because when he aged up to a toddler, he had the hair and the eyes, and I was like, oh, so it all turned into a bit of a drama, a behind-the-scenes drama for my own entertainment. Anyway, these guys have been up all night, so I'm going to let them both go have a little nap, and, you know, then they can get on with their day. It's like lunchtime. Now, little Vivienne has actually finished her aspiration. So I was thinking, because she's going to be our heir and run a shop, maybe social. She needs to meet 5 new Sims, which is unfortunate because she knows a ton of Sims already. Maybe, actually, she does have a club, doesn't she? She's got her cousins in it, but maybe we could start a gathering and have them come over. She's doing her chores, and then I'm going to have her play with the cousins, and maybe if she becomes friends with them, because she does need to make a friend, right? So I'm going to have her work on that. So she now has the creatively gifted trait, so she will build adult creative skills faster, which is great. Because for the retail generation, she needs to run a shop and sell things that she's crafted. So paintings is the best money spinner. Flowers is also really good. Flower arranging is really good. Problem with flowers is they don't last very long. So after you've arranged the flowers, if Sims take too long to buy them, they wilt and you've lost the money. They actually sell better via Plopsy. So something like a painting would be the way to go. Oh, buddy! Bees! Ah! Bees! Vivienne's like, haha! Oh no, there we go. Oh, one thing I did need to talk to you guys about actually before we finish. I thought Master Blacksmith, I thought the Blacksmith custom career that I downloaded was a 10-step career. It's actually a 5-step career, so he's actually maxed out the career now. The reason I wanted to talk to you guys about it is the rules for the Medieval Legacy Challenge say, hello, this is editing Cass from the future. I got it slightly wrong in the video, so I'm just correcting it now. It says you have to complete the culinary career, which has to be on the male partner, or complete both the mixology and cooking aspirations specifically. And I had him be a blacksmith, and my theory was, well, he needs to max out his career, but I thought it would be roughly equivalent to maxing out the culinary career because I thought it would be a 10-step career, and it's not. So I feel like I've taken the easy path out. My thought was that I'll set, instead of saying one of these, oh, I turned autonomy off. instead of saying that one of these two has to now join a career, I thought I'd set a different requirement for her. Like, she's got level 10 cooking, charisma, gardening, gourmet cooking. Obviously, I want her to get to Vampire Law 15 because she needs that to cure Oliver. And I've had her start working on baking. So maybe if you guys are happy, I want to say that that's what we need to do now to get the bonus for the next gen. So basically, instead of doing the aspirations, and the problem with the two aspirations, the mixology one and the culinary one, they both require you to be in the career. So we just can't, like, unless I have her join it, we actually can't. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think, if this is an acceptable substitute, having her, oh look, she's over here on her own. Oh, you're making a drink. No, I don't actually want you to make a drink. I'm happy for you to practice. If you guys are happy with me substituting some more skills for the additional 5 levels of the career, let me know. If you think I should have her really quick join one of the 2 aspiration-related careers, I can do it. Just let me know. So, because I kind of want to get the bonus for Vivienne so that she can access the extra things that she gets as the heir, basically. I don't know if I'm making sense here. Last recess, no one wanted to play with me. I'm going to click on that one. However, you don't go to school, sweetie. It's all an illusion in your mind. All right, I'm actually going to end this part here, you guys. I am super keen to hear what you guys think of the whole situation with Colton. It means we're getting a little bit of nobility into the family tree without getting the nobility generation. And maybe it could be it could come to play in future generations where Colton and Andrea's kids, maybe they get found and identified as being noble, and maybe that could play into Rose's descendants. Like, I don't know how, other than by having the cousins marry, honestly, but let me know what you think. Once they're second or third cousins, does it really count anymore? It's fine. All right, I'm going to end this part here. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You know the drill. Don't forget to wash your hands, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.